Ever stubbed your toe and thought, man, my pinky toe really hurts right now?
Right.
Well, get ready to think about pain in a whole new way, because today we're taking a deep dive into the world of traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, to unlock the mysteries of finger pain.
Yeah, and this isn't just about your fingers, right? What's fascinating about TCM is that it looks at the whole body, this interconnected system of energy. So relieving finger pain might actually mean addressing imbalances in, say, your lung meridian.
Okay, I have to admit, the lung meridian being connected to my fingers, that's a new one for me.
Yeah.
Can you break down how this whole energy system thing works in TCM?
Sure. So imagine these invisible channels running through your body, like energy highways. They're called meridians. And qi, which is like this vital life force, flows through them. When that flow gets disrupted, that's when you start to see problems like pain and stiffness.
So it's like a traffic jam, but for your energy.
Exactly.
And when it comes to finger pain, which meridians are we talking about here?
Well, TCM sees finger pain as potentially linked to a few key meridians, right? You've got the triple burner, the small intestine, large intestine, and yeah, you guessed it, even the lung meridian.
The lung meridian. For real?
It sounds strange, but it all comes down to this idea that everything is connected in TCM. Each meridian takes a specific path through the body, and if there's a blockage anywhere along that path, it can show up as pain or discomfort in a totally different area.
Okay, so I get the highway analogy, but what actually causes these energy traffic jams in the first place?
Well, one major culprit is something called bi syndrome. Basically, it's a TCM pattern that involves pain, stiffness, and sometimes even swelling in the joints.
So if I'm someone who always feels more stiff and achy in cold, damp weather, that could be bi syndrome at play.
You got it. Those external factors like the cold, dampness, even wind, they can mess with your internal energy and contribute to pain.
It's like the weather seeps right into your bones. I can totally relate to that. So let's say you are experiencing this finger pain, stiffness, maybe even some of that weather-related achiness. What does TCM actually do about it?
That's where acupuncture comes in. By stimulating specific points along these meridians, acupuncturists can help to clear those blockages, get your qi flowing smoothly again, and ultimately relieve that finger pain.
Okay, you said specific points. Tell me more about that. What are some of these key acupoints for tackling finger pain and what makes them so powerful?
One that's really effective for finger pain is Li10. It's on the large intestine meridian.
Li10. All right, I'm taking notes. What's so special about this point?
Think of Li10 as like a pressure valve for your entire arm, you know. Releasing tension there can not only ease finger pain, but it can also help with things like tennis elbow.
Wait, really? Tennis elbow too?
Yeah, which, might seem unrelated, but remember, it's all connected.
Wow, so releasing one point can have this ripple effect, bringing relief to a whole chain of connected areas. That's pretty amazing. Are there other acupoints that are kind of the heavy hitters in this finger pain relief game?
Absolutely. There's SI7, which you find on the small intestine meridian. That one's especially helpful for anyone dealing with like stiff, achy fingers.
Okay, so Li10 is our pressure valve. Si7 is like loosening oil for our stiff joints. What else you got?
All right, now let's talk about TE3 and TE5. Both are on the triple burner meridian. Now, these points are kind of interesting because the triple burner itself is a unique concept in TCM.
Okay, how so?
Well, it's not really a single organ.
It's not.
It's more like a system that regulates different functions in your body, like your metabolism and temperature regulation.
Okay, so the triple burner is like the body's internal thermostat and energy manager.
Exactly.
That's a pretty big job.
It is.
So how do these TE points then play into relieving finger pain?
So TE3, which is sometimes called outer pass, is great for releasing heat and wind.
Right.
Which, as we were talking about before, can really be those major culprits when it comes to stiff, achy fingers.
Yeah.
It's like it creates that space for the energy to flow again.
Creating space for those good vibes to flow. I like it. What about TE5?
PE5, or outer gate, is another good one for wind and heat, but it's also known to help with pain and stiffness in the wrists and elbows.
Okay, so with these TE points, we're kind of casting a wider net than, we're not just thinking about the fingers themselves, but the entire arm, all those energy pathways. I feel like there's a theme emerging here.
Yeah?
This is all about treating the whole system, not just the symptom.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Now, if we want to shift gears just a little bit, let's talk about the lung meridian.
Okay.
Which, again, might seem kind of unrelated to finger pain at first.
Right.
But remember that interconnectedness we were talking about.
Right. It always comes back to those meridian connections.
Right. When we zero in on finger pain specifically, the lung meridian actually has a couple of really important points for us to think about, like LU9 and LU10.
Okay, so in the world of finger pain relief, what makes LU9 and LU10 so special?
LU9, which is often called great abyss, is like, if you can imagine, like a reset button for the entire meridian.
Okay.
It's really great for easing pain and stiffness in your fingers, especially if you're feeling, any numbness or tingling.
Great abyss. It sounds kind of intense,
It does.
but in a good healing way.
Yeah.
Okay, so if LU9 is the reset button, what's LU10's superpower?
LU10, or fish border, is known for clearing heat and resolving phlegm,
Okay.
which, believe it or not, can actually contribute to joint pain in some cases.
Wait, hold on. Phlegm in the joints. I'm going to need you to paint me a picture here.
Okay, so think about it this way. In TCM, we think about phlegm as like a sticky stagnation
Okay.
that can get in the way of the qi flowing the way it should.
Okay.
And, the stagnation can show up in a bunch of different ways,
Yeah.
like respiratory problems,
Mm-hmm.
coughs, congestion, but it also show up as stiffness and discomfort in the joints.
Okay, so addressing phlegm with LU10 could be like a 2-for-1 deal then, right?
Yeah.
It helps with those respiratory issues and the finger pain at the same time.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And it really highlights how TCM views the body as this holistic system.
Right.
When you deal with imbalances in one area, it can really have these positive effects all over the body. And, we were talking about external factors like the cold and the dampness.
Right.
But TCM also says that our emotions can be just as powerful when it comes to experiencing pain.
Okay, that's interesting. Tell me more about this whole emotion and finger pain connection.
Well, think about it. When we're holding on to stress or tension, even those negative emotions, it can actually manifest physically in our bodies.
Right, like when you're stressed and you clench your jaw.
Exactly. So when it comes to finger pain, it could be that we're like literally gripping too tightly.
Huh.
Or it could be a sign that, we need to let go of some emotional baggage.
Wow. So you're saying that there's a real connection between what's going on in our minds and what we experience physically, like in our fingers.
Absolutely. Remember, it's all interconnected.
Right.
And this is where the large intestine meridian comes in. It actually goes all the way through the arm and ends in, guess where? The index finger.
Whoa, I had no idea.
Yeah. And this meridian isn't just about digestion. It's also linked to our ability to let go, both physically and emotionally.
Okay, I am very curious now. Tell me more about how the large intestine meridian plays into all of this. What can we do to address those emotional holding patterns that might be contributing to our finger pain?
Well, there are certain acupoints along the large intestine meridian that can really help with this. Like there's Li11, which is often called crooked pond. It's known for its ability to clear both heat and wind from the body.
There are those two troublemakers again.
I know, right?
So it's like Li11 is strategically placed to tackle those finger pain villains right at the source.
That's a great way to put it. And then there's Li4, often referred to as joining valley. And that was really interesting because it's one of the most versatile points in acupuncture. It can be used to relieve pain throughout the body, including the fingers. But even beyond acupuncture, there are things that you can do every day to support your large intestine meridian.
Okay, like what?
Things like gentle exercise, spending time in nature, practicing mindfulness,
Yeah.
It's all about finding healthy ways to release tension, both physically and emotionally.
So we're not just talking about needles and acupoints here, huh?
Yeah.
You're talking about a whole approach to life. I like that.
Exactly. It's really about looking at all the different angles, you know. And while we're on the topic, there's actually one more point I wanted to touch on. LU11. It's on the lung meridian.
LU11. All right, hit me with it. What's this one all about?
This one's great for acute pain and swelling, especially in the thumb.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like, if you can imagine it, like a quick response team for your fingers.
So if you've got a throbbing thumb, LU11 is the go-to for fast relief.
Exactly. It can be surprisingly effective.
This has been incredible. I feel like we've really journeyed through the meridians, explored all these acupoints. I mean, we even got into the mind-body connection and how emotions can show up as actual physical pain. That was really interesting.
Yeah, TCM is really fascinating like that. It really highlights how interconnected everything is.
It really does. So for our listeners who are dealing with finger pain, or maybe they just want to learn more about TCM, what are some of the key things you hope they take away from our conversation today?
Well, I always say, pain is a messenger, not the enemy, right? It's your body's way of telling you something's off.
So don't ignore it. Don't just try to cover it up. Listen to your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, TCM is all about finding what's really going on.
Right.
What's the root of the problem, not just like putting a Band-Aid on the symptoms.
Right, because it might not be what you expect.
So
Like, who knew the lung meridian could be linked to finger pain? Or, like you were saying, sometimes it's emotions we're holding on to.
it's all connected.
It really is. Well, this has been an amazing deep dive into the world of TCM. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing all of your wisdom with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening, we hope this episode has given you a new perspective on pain and maybe even inspired you to explore the world of TCM a little more. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll catch you in the next deep dive.